got along with him well, although he did announce the other day that he'd much rather see Biden as president. And I agree with him. I agree, because, nothing happened. But I did it, and Israel, therefore, became the capital. And it was a big thing. And on Monday, I called back the biggest leaders in the whole world, richest leaders, biggest leaders. I said, hi, what's up? They're taking the parks from children. There are no more baseball fields, no more soccer fields, no more anything. It doesn't sound very serious. Soccer fields and baseball fields are very serious. Their way of life has changed. And, if you think about it, you have men, you have women, and you have religion. If you look at it, you have more than the men, you have more than the women. You have such power. Love of Christ, the stories of the Holy Bible, and the voices of famed evangelical people and evangelists like the late, great Pat Robertson, who was a great gentleman. Got to know him very well. He went on a very poorly rated show last night, and he talked about Donald Trump and his wife. I don't know the name of my wife. He was referring to the fact that at CPAC, where I had a sold-out speech, the biggest audience they've had in years, I think maybe ever, I made the statement that Melania was very popular because when I mentioned her name, the audience went wild. I then looked at the two people, man and wife, Matt and Mercedes Schlapp, and I said, wow, they really like the First Lady. So this got taken as the fact that I thought Mercedes was the First Lady. It has nothing to do with that. These people are really dishonest. They are absolutely something. They have a horrible candidate who's a horrible president. They make up things constantly. You take a look at when I use Barack Hussein Obama and I interject him. We're not going to let this go on because it is not sustainable by any country. You cannot let, I believe, the number by the time we get him out. And remember the date, November 5th. It's going to be the most important date, perhaps, in the history of our country. The election is on November 5th. So we have Michigan coming next week. We have Super Tuesday. We have Ball coming. We've set a record so far in every single. In Iowa, we got the most votes in history times two, just like this, the biggest margin ever. We then went to New Hampshire. New Hampshire and Iowa, they've been around a long time politically. I think that's why the black people are so much on my side now, because they see what's happening to me happens to them. Does that make sense? I've heard that. When I did the mugshot in Atlanta, that mugshot is number one. Elvis Presley's number two, and Frank Sinatra's. They had Frank Sinatra for fighting, and they had Elvis for, I don't know, something in a gas station. He tried to hold up a gas station. I don't know, something. Elvis. So Elvis is number two, but he was always number one. The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. They do shirts, and they sell them for $19 a piece. It's pretty amazing. Millions, by the way, millions of these things have been sold. He ran, and he did fine. And then when he got out, he endorsed me, and he's a surrogate. He's the greatest surrogate I've ever seen. This guy went from modest, high-quality man, introducing his mother, who's incredible, by the way. But I said, Tim, I called him up. He took everybody. He had like 5 of the worst human beings interviewing him, trying to hit me. He said, Donald Trump did this, he did that, he did criminal justice reform, he did the... And by the time he finished with them, they just wanted to get off the set. And I said, he's a much better representative for me than he is a representative for himself. And it's true. And that's a great compliment. And you know why? Because he's a high-quality person. He doesn't like talking about himself. It's true.
China obviously has its own push in the Chinese digital currency. But isn't the next logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well, a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar. but a lot of people are doing it, and frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know, but many people are embracing it, and more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin, and you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
Yeah.
Being sarcastic, I interchange names all the time. Every time I interchange a name, and I do it in sarcasm, every time I interchange a name, they say, Donald Trump didn't know this one from that one. I know exactly what the hell I'm... Don't forget, I'm up here now rapping to you guys for 45 minutes without any notes.